Imagine this, you're sitting in your room browsing YouTube after a long day of work or whatever you do throughout the day, only to see this one XQC video on your homepage. You sit down to watch it, only to be met with a video by someone else being played in full in the corner, and some guy staring at it with a blank expression on his face, only reacting with some laughing from time to time, or making some short comment summarizing what just happened in the video. Essentially just stealing the video they're watching, probably getting more money because of it than the people who made it. Well, congratulations, you just found reaction videos. This example I just gave is essentially what's happening right now with content creation. The conversation around this type of content started back in 2015 when reaction channels like Jinx and CJ So Cool were in their prime. And every few years, the conversation comes back around, with commentary channels heavily criticizing the channels that do this type of content, with the reasons being pretty justified. And this conversation has been coming back around recently, with arguably the most steam it's had since 2015. So I thought it would be interesting to cover the topic while people are still talking about it. And I'm mostly going to be talking about the 3 creators that were recently getting flack due to all of this. But before we begin, let's copy paste the harassment disclaimer from the last video, because I can't be bothered to make a new one right now. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Over the past few years, many YouTubers have been criticized for the low effort that they put into their content, but the YouTuber we're talking about in this section, SSSniperwolf, wasn't really talked about all that much for her content until recently, and more about how she is overall as a person. But this fact would quickly change in recent times, as there's now huge amounts of criticism for how she handles her channel, and this recent spike in criticism towards her content was due to a recent Twitter spat she had with the YouTuber Jacksfilms, which I'd argue caused the conversation around React content in general to come back up again. But to give some context before I explain exactly what happened, Jacksfilms made a parody channel called Jacksfilms, where he was essentially parodying Sniperwolf's videos to prove a point, which was how bad her content was. And he had also made some tweets which were critical of her content after YouTube was essentially promoting her in some tweets. And these Jack tweets would prompt many responses from Sniperwolf, which were pretty puzzling to say the least. People would start to say that she also steals ideas due to this tweet, but then she would claim that 90% of what she uploads are her ideas and people steal from her. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see what original ideas come from her reacting to random videos she found on the internet that she had no hand in creating. It seems pretty lazy to me, but let's give her the benefit of the doubt for a second and watch one of her videos. I'm sure I'm wrong about this, right?
There's a f***ing fire in the freezer, mate. Fire and ice, you cunts.
He's so unbothered.
Oh, just another day in the down under.
Yeah, fire in the freezer? How does that even happen? There's literal ice cubes there. Oh, that's where the freezer burn comes from. You know when your ice cream tastes freezer burnt? Okay, but like, what do you do? Just close the door and hope that it freezes?
This is just a video of her reacting to videos, summarizing them with the most obnoxious voice I've ever heard from a fucking YouTuber. There's nothing new or original that she's saying, so she's not adding to the clips at all. And to top it off, she doesn't even bother to credit the original videos she's reacting to. Great job, Sniperwolf. This is definitely something that is 90% your own ideas. God, I can't stand her. Many people have done reaction videos before Sniperwolf even stepped on the platform, and they will continue to do it after her channel dies out, and they'll probably make it in a much better way than she does. I don't think she deserves to have this big of an ego for making easy to pump out videos that take no effort to make, with literally nothing of substance being added to the clip she talks about. And just to make my stance clear, I don't really have an issue with low effort content itself. I think it's fine if people don't want to spend a lot of their time making super high quality videos or anything. But stealing videos and memes from TikTok is not something I'm necessarily okay with. And to top it off, judging by the images she provided in one of her replies, she is basically implying that Mr. Beast copies her because he also made a reaction video to a TikTok that she reacted to, and because the thumbnails are similar. Which is kind of funny since she did the same thing herself. But even if you ignore the obvious hypocrisy of what she's saying here, making a similar video does not mean that someone copied you. But I'm getting sidetracked here. Let's get back into the situation at hand. The channel that Sniperwolf was talking about when she said that Jack was copying her was Jacksfilms, which makes no sense if you think about it logically. The channel itself was satire, which she took seriously as some own on Twitter. Anyone could see right through this, which is why in terms of public opinion, Jack was seen in the right here. But overall, SSSniperwolf showed to the general public that she was unable to take a joke or criticism, and that she held herself way too highly for what was essentially just making videos where she steals TikToks. It's one thing to do that on its own, and it's another thing to act like you're some fucking YouTube genius for it, and that others that do the same thing are just copying you. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this section. Moving on. Now, while I believe that SSSniperwolf was the person who initially sparked a recent conversation about reaction content, XQC is without a doubt the reason why everything is still being talked about, even as I script this video, and for good reason. But before I discuss this whole thing, I think it's important for me to establish what exactly my stance is on reaction content in general, just so people don't get confused. I don't have any issues with people watching videos for streams or for videos, and there isn't inherently an issue with reaction content itself. It can be entertaining for audiences to get the creators' opinions on the videos they watch on their streams or videos, and it can add something new to the original video that audiences wouldn't have gotten from just watching the original. But that's the thing, most of the people who engage in this type of content end up not adding any sort of meaningful commentary at all, and XQC is a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. Let's look at this tweet by the YouTuber Neo Explains. XQC straight up left the room while Neo's video was still playing. He didn't pause the video, he didn't say he was going on break, he just straight up left the room. Not even Sniperwolf does that.
Dozens of individual buildings have merged into allowed various work.
Do not post this to YouTube for the lack of react. Boom!
Yeah, real classy XQC. Way to make transformative content. Now, to be fair here, XQC overall is slightly better than Sniperwolf. Just slightly. Mostly because in the description of every reaction video he makes, he links back to the original video that he's reacting to, which is good. That's a step above what a lot of other people do. But it's still far off from what would actually be acceptable. Half the time, all he does is just blankly stare at a video. That's not a reaction. That's just re-uploading the original video essentially to your channel. It would be different if these reactions were kept exclusively to Twitch. I probably wouldn't have as much of an issue with that. A lot of the time, people will just not give good reactions due to being disinterested or tired, and I completely understand that. Plus, it's on a different platform. XQC is not directly competing with the original YouTuber when he just reacts to a video on a stream. Is it transformative? No, not really. But at least in this way, the original creator doesn't really get hurt from it. But when those same reactions are being clipped and re-uploaded to YouTube, with none of the dead space being removed, that's where the big issues come in. And it's not even like this is a one-time thing that only sometimes happens with XQC. Most of his reactions that are uploaded are like this. It just cannibalizes content when people do this, especially when the reactions are uploaded almost as soon as when the original video is uploaded. And when these channels are met with the slightest bit of criticism for the reactions they do, they just dismiss the whole argument as react harder and just move on, which just completely walks around the entire point of why people are mad at react content. But it just gets much worse from here. XQC had a debate of sorts with H3H3 Productions, someone who is known for being very passionate about reaction content and fair use in general. And to say that XQC lost the argument is me being charitable towards him. I could go over the debate and some of the arguments from it, but instead, I'm gonna show a few clips of some of the things that XQC said in the stream that I found funny. The original video will be linked in the description in case anyone wants to go and watch it.
People would rather watch me full screen cam do the fucking worm than watch your prime. Then watch your prime content.
Do it for a week. Do a week of no reaction content and see how many fucking views you get. Oh, he's crying in the corner. Oh, okay, sure. I mean, that's content, man. It's original content at least.
So as we go forward, you are fucking bald. You're very bald. You're balding. Your hair's thinning and it's gray, which means that you're old as fuck. Got it. Okay, shall we continue? Is this fun?
The premise is faulty, my friend.
Is this fun for you?
I have a beautiful hairline.
Baldy, is this fun for you or not?
But overall, XQC, while slightly better than Sniperwolf, is a prime example of what you shouldn't do while you are trying to make reaction content on YouTube. And him getting backlash recently was completely justified. If I were to give one piece of advice to him and others, it would be to stop deflecting criticism by claiming that the entire argument is just react harder and actually start to improve your content. Moving on. Now, Hasan Piker is a creator that's been under a lot of scrutiny for about as long as he's been popular on YouTube and Twitch. Usually when people criticize him, it's for a number of statements he makes that are in very poor taste, and the straight up bad political opinions that he will put out on Twitter and his streams daily. But that's not exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Instead, we're going to be talking about something completely different regarding him. Out of everyone I've talked about in this video that makes reaction content, Hasan has to be the perfect example of what not to do when making this content. And because of this, when XQC got criticized for how he did his content, Hasan was understandably lumped right in with him. But what caught my eye was a thread made by the Twitter user Ausinox. In this thread, Ausinox essentially cherry picks one example of Hasan's reaction content, where Hasan reacting to someone actually gave the person he was watching some decent exposure from it. But the thing is that this example is just an exception if anything. Hasan is a political streamer, and that's why the majority of his fans watched him in the first place. And the video in question that he was reacting to was a video that was making fun of the political side that he makes fun of. So of course his audience would like the video and subscribe to the original creator. So instead, let's look at a more accurate example of how Hasan's reaction content actually affects the videos he watches. JXE, a media reviewer, made a video in 2020 about the most bizarre house she's ever seen. This video piqued Hasan's interest, so he ended up reacting to it on his stream. So what's the issue here exactly? Well, all we have to do is just watch his reaction, and see that for half the video, he just leaves while the video is still playing. Really top tier reactions, don't you think? The worst part of everything is that Hasan didn't even credit the video he was watching, and because it wasn't on a political topic like the other example brought up in this section, his fanbase didn't really have any reason to seek out the video and support JXE. Now, this doesn't seem too different from someone like XQC, who was also guilty of doing the same exact thing. But what makes the Hasan situation unique and more interesting is just how he responded to the criticism about this situation. When JXE spoke out about her opinions of Hasan using her video in the way he did, Hasan completely dismissed her concerns and critiques of him, which were quite tame in all honesty. All people wanted Hasan to do is to pause the videos he watches while he's gone, and give some actual commentary while he's on camera. But watch his response when he reads a completely fair comment criticizing him with these same points.
On him, how is it any different than him just watching a YouTube video off stream? It just rubs me the wrong way. Like, how do you think of your viewers to just stream your break? Dude, what am I supposed to do? Die? Like, I don't understand. You could leave a sign saying gone for a dump back in 5, or could just give credit where it's due and actually react while he's in the room. Doesn't seem like a lot to ask. These motherfuckers are like, dude, peanut bottle, dude.
I can't tell if Hasan is intentionally dodging the actual point in this clip, or if he is just genuinely missing the point entirely. It's hard to tell with this guy. After Hasan's terrible response to Jay's concerns, she uploaded a video about the whole ordeal, and reaction content in general. The video itself is pretty good, and I'll link it in the description in case anyone wants to see it, but the biggest thing to come out of this video is Hasan's reaction to it, which was to call her and some people she associates with some pretty bad things to say the least. I've censored what he said so I could say monetized, but you could probably make out what he said from what I left in, but here's the clip.
Since then, he made a video, or they made a video. Afterwards, they had like a bunch of fucking Nazis on the kill stream get together and do an 8-hour reaction to my entire stream.
And he says, I had Nazis get together on a kill stream. Just to be clear, right? This is a bunch of libs getting together on EFAP in a capacity with which I was not involved in any way. Hasan, you owe me another apology and a correction live on your stream, because this is a lie.
If there's anything that could be taken from the situation, it's just how Hasan responded to criticism, which became a way bigger focus in his reaction content. By reacting the way he did to some very light criticism, he made the situation twice as talked about as it would have been otherwise. He could have just either ignored the entire thing, or actually taken JXE's critiques into account. Both options would have made this whole thing fade away. But instead, he decided to act irrationally, dismiss arguments entirely, and call people some things that could ruin their reputation. Now I get why people mainly talk about Hasan because of the insane stuff he says. Holy shit. But that's pretty much it for this section. Moving on. Reaction content itself is a mixed bag. Some people can do it pretty well with a lot of commentary, while others just watch a video and don't say anything, sometimes even leaving while a video is playing. But in general, even if you can do it right, I think I'm just getting sick of people making this type of content personally. Again, I still stand by what I said earlier about me having no issue with low effort content in general. But even with that said, it feels like half of YouTube is just becoming reacting to shit with no actual substance instead of actually trying to make content. And I get that it's kind of rich for me to be saying this is a commentary channel, but at least I add my own opinions into my videos and try to make them my own thing. You don't really see that with reaction videos. Plus, creators that used to be personal favorites of mine have turned to making reaction videos as essentially all of their content, instead of making anything interesting. Hell, Pyrocynical is one of the biggest examples of this. He went from making somewhat interesting commentary content and video essays to just uploading reaction videos to whatever is popular nowadays, and basically leaving his main channel stranded for months on end until he releases some half-baked video that wasn't worth the hype liked in the first place. I don't fault him for doing this stuff necessarily, as this is way easier content to make than the stuff he was doing before, and it's probably more beneficial than his other content, but it's certainly more boring than what he was doing beforehand. And I feel like that's what makes me more annoyed at reaction content as time passes. The quality of content is only getting worse as people with creative minds move towards what's easier and more profitable, while others just leave the platform entirely. I can understand why they move towards doing this stuff, but it doesn't make the content any better, and it doesn't make me respect it personally. But who knows? Maybe this just speaks to how YouTube itself is changing over the years, and how nothing will be how it used to. But with all that said, I'm done with this video. Thanks for watching until the end. If you want to support me and my content, I have my members link in the description, as well as my second channel and podcast, so go check those out if you want. I've also got some big videos being cooked up for this channel as we speak, so be on the lookout for those. And with that said, I'm done with this video. Oh yeah, one last thing. #FLM.